Yeah, I was going to tell Perry. I listened to you earlier, Perry. You're talking about some of these radios with power itself. You know, my 991 messed up. I called the guy and I gave him the top technician. He told me to plug it back up and get it working just the way it worked. You know, plug it, the antenna on and everything, and then call him back. When I called him back, he started giving me the buttons to push on this thing, the letters to push, and asked me what come up on the screen, and all this, and I tell you, after one morning, he said, well, you got power problems with panels. But if you know what button to push, it comes up on that screen or what's wrong with it, where it's set on, what's not supposed to be set on.
Yeah, in the future, they'll probably have radios that have diagnostics, and what will happen is, when your radio is problematic, you'll just make sure that it's, you know, it's like, it's online in your, you know, your home network, and then you'll call a technical support person, and you'll tell him what the address is of your radio, and he'll just log into your radio and work on it from his desktop somewhere out in cyberspace. You know, we've been doing that with a lot of industrial equipment for decades.
Yeah, it surprised me that all he had me to do this thing. You push one hose in, you push one price, and all different things, certain number and certain letters, and it's just all that. I don't say you just write about it. Some of them require yourself to know what button to push. All right, I'm going to get back over here. I just want to see what radio J was about. Hello, everybody. I missed earlier. KD4PVA.
Hey, Kenny?
Yes, sir.
Let me see here. What, I was going to ask you something about that. Who did the Yazoo guy tell you to call? Do you remember the name of the service center?
I've got it on paper over there. I found it somewhere. Got his own, he said it's his own personal number, you know, line number, 334 or something. His name, I think, was David. I ain't sure. I'll see if I find that. It was up in, as a Yazoo's manufacturer. And he's a technician there. The top one, it said.
Wow. Well, you know, that guy, somebody called Yazoo, it seemed like a week ago, they were talking about it, and they said they didn't service the 897 or the 857 anymore. They couldn't get parts, but they referred to another one or two they gave whoever it was. I thought it might have been you, a couple of names and phone numbers, and I was wanting to get those, and then we could put them online on our website for people that, you know, needed service. Because, you know, if you've had radios that work perfect for the last 30 years, you know, you get spoiled. You don't know these service center numbers. I bumped into Carl Lister. You may know him, Perry, at the Hamfest, and he said he still works on them, but he's not out soliciting for business because he's got all he can handle.
Yeah, I know Carl, and yeah, he has a really nice shop too at home. I've seen it, but you know, if he put the word out that he's working on radios, he'd be swamped.
Yeah, there used to be a guy named Campbell. That name just came to me. His name was Campbell. I can't remember his first name. It seemed like he was out in Union County somewhere. He got quite a bit of good reviews for working on radios and stuff. But if you've got a high dollar radio and you want somebody that knows what they're doing, then don't get in there, with a blowtorch working on stuff and screw it up. The guy down in Atlanta, I believe he's in Atlanta, has worked on some 706s, I believe, for you, Kenny, hadn't he? Didn't you send your 706 to that guy once?
Yeah, I mean, you give me a picture of his shop and everything you check on the internet. You remember that? You get a picture of his shop he works in?
Yeah. I think he specializes in the 706, although he does work on other radios. We need to get his, I've got his number here somewhere. Matter of fact, I may have put together a web page that I was going to publish at some point. I'll take a look and see if I got it. We need a page on the lunchbunch.net website for repair places. You know, that website just keeps growing. I don't know. At some point, I'm going to run out of space. They'll ask me to buy more gigabytes or something. N4IJL.
Y'all see how much the 706G Mark II G goes for used now?
No, how much? I saw one down at Dalton that wasn't a Mark II G. It was just the original one. The guy was only wanting like $275 or something for it, but it was an old one. What are they going for, Phil?
A nice specimen Mark II G, clean, not abused. It's over $600.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's in line. I think that's reasonable. You know, that radio, I guess, at the end of the day, when it was new, was selling for what, 13 or something?
Yeah, but that's a fairly old radio for that kind of money, considering it's old school tech as far as, you know, screens and whatnot. But yeah, they're bringing good money.
I think people, you know, as this stuff gets more expensive, people are going to start doing more bartering. And but you know, that was a good radio. Think about it as far as features. 160 through 160 through 440, all mode, with the detachable head, the whole bit. I can see why they'd go, you know, for a pretty good clip on the, you know, on the used market.
Oh yeah, no, it's small radio too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a classic for mobiling.
Yeah.
$600. That's interesting. You know, there's also an older generation that they're tired of, you know, some of the newer radios where everything is like 4 sub menus deep and you can't find it, and you got to read the manual to figure out how to do something simple like, you know, put a tone in on a repeater. And the things like the 706 Mark II G were, you know, fairly intuitive to use for, you know, older generations of people, and especially for something like mobile use. You know, they don't want a science project and a video game. They want a basic radio.
Well, that was, and I think the reason nice specimens are drawing big money and the ones that have little scratches and things and whatnot, they're down there around the 4 and 5. But when you find a nice specimen, obviously there's not many of them, and that's the ones that are commanding that kind of money.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I had a 706, the very first ones they came out with, first generation. I remember going to, it's either Huntsville or the Atlanta Hamfest, and I sold everything in the shack to get $1,300. And I laid 13 $100 bills down to get that radio, and man, I'll tell you, I was in love with it. I kept it about 30 years. That thing worked like a champ, never gave me any problems.
I think that's another reason they're in higher demand, too, is the reliability of them.
Yeah. Well, it had a neat display, too. They were kind of the first generation of some of the digital stuff. The displays, you know, and all that. And I think the display was really fascinating. Much like we're seeing today, you know, with some of these, like what we were talking about with the 7300s and all those that have really neat stuff, you know, to look at. Eye candy, if you will. Although, I like color displays, but I don't like more than 3 colors. The 9700, I'm looking at it, 7300, same way. I've got red, blue, black, gray, let's see, green. Gee, I guess that's it. I don't know. I don't like too many colors. Reminds me of jelly beans.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with this record function too. That's interesting how the screen switches there. I've got a little red record light. So do you use this record a lot, Jerry?
All the time, Jason, all the time. You know, when I get on and I'm starting to just surf around, look for stuff, I turn it on immediately. You hit the, I hit the quick button and then I hit record, and now just leave it on. It'll record for several hours and doesn't really create a large file. And you can replay later. It's kind of like listening to the same conversations over again, but matter of fact, that was one of the main features that caused me to get, the 7300 series radios, is that record function. Just an awesome feature.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. I don't ever really play with it, but I'm playing with it now. And yeah, I'm just playing with the screens here. I don't know. I do like to see my SWR though. That's what I usually keep it on, Jerry, is scope, and then it allows you, it gives you that S meter still. You can select what the other function is besides the S meter, and always keep that on SWR. That's usually what I'm looking at. So I've got the S meter, I've got my SWR, and the scope, and that's usually how I keep it. And I was just wanting to do some audio testing here and see what I sounded like on my own station being recorded too. So audio test, KN4OJB.
Hello. I'll tell you another thing, another way I like to do it, Jason. You might want to try this. I've got the same setup. But if you'll take, I'm using a scribe, a little rubber tip pen. We talked about that a while back, what to use. Keeps my fingerprints off the screen. But I take my little scribe stylus is the word I'm looking for, and I touch and hold the SWR. And what it does, it narrows down the waterfall and gives you all of those meters at the bottom. Then you got the waterfall in the middle and the display at the top showing whichever one of those things you want to show, as well as the S meter. And that's the way I like to keep it. I don't need, sometimes I like the full display to be waterfall, but really I've gotten to where I don't need the full waterfall. I just got that slice across there, but I'm really liking the meter thing at the bottom.
Oh, okay, I'm tracking there. Yeah, I just got, like you said, like half a scope, I guess you'd say. And, so I still have a little bit of the meter action going. And I've never tried moving this stuff around or whatever, but it is, wow, this thing will do a lot for sure. KM4OJB.
The display, the frequency, and then to the left of it, you've got your ALC, your SWR, whatever you choose. Then you've got a narrow slice of waterfall, but a blank bottom screen. Then take your stylus or your finger and press and hold on the screen there, the SWR bar there, that little tiny one up there. And all of a sudden, all of those meters will pop up in that blank space at the bottom. So you'll have the meters at the bottom, the slice in the middle, and the frequency at the top, and that little SWR, so you can choose what you want to put there with a quick touch.
Did Will ever come in here this evening?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, just checking.
How about Scott? Has anybody heard Scott?
I did not hear Scott either.
Negative on the Scott.
I had some JSF questions for Will, but I've been playing with that. That's been a learning experience.
Oh, Will, he's a trailblazer on that stuff, isn't he, Phil?
Oh, yeah, he's on it pretty good, and I fell in love with the JS8 lately because of its, the abilities that this stuff has. It's got a lot of stuff that's real gems.
there's too much, Phil. There's too much digital stuff to choose from, and that makes it hard for somebody that's indecisive like me. I mean, if there was one or two, but man, it's something different every day.
Well, JS8's got it all rolled into one bundle.
Is that the JS8 call?
Yep, you can. So it goes even deeper. I can store a message on someone else's computer for you to pick up later.
Oh, man, that's getting too... I must be getting old, Phil.
Well, what it is sometimes if you and I can't hear each other at night or whatever, we don't have a good pass, like let's say you were out in Nevada or something, but yet we were both there in one of these big stations, I can click on that big station and store a message for N4IJL to pick up. Wow.
That's just getting way out there for me. I don't know. I am old, and I think when you get older, at my age, is when you get real old, it's just hard to, keep all that straight in your head. And now, if I really, just buckle down on something, but then when I do that, next thing you know, somebody's got something else that's better, and I think, okay, well, I thought, that's kind of like Windows, the Macintosh or the Apple. The computers are now getting, like, every time you get familiar with an operating system, they up it to another level. And it is the constant catching up. So it's kind of like that in the digital stuff, just me constantly catching up. Somebody like Will or Andy or some of those guys that deal in all that, they follow it pretty easy. But, boy, it's difficult for me. I have to, claw my way up the ladder on that. Well, I guess I need to just get involved in it, and I need to shut up and learn it.
Hey, Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I share your sentiments, and, by the way, I've been professionally around, various types of digital communications, both wired and over the radio for 50 years, and, after you spend a lot of time learning the details of a digital system, that you do some project with it, and then, next year it's completely obsolete, and you never use it again in the rest of your life. And after you've gone through 20 or 30 of those, you quit learning new ones, because you know that knowledge is ephemeral, and it won't be useful, down the road. And that's one of the things that happens. Once you get experienced, is you'll find out that there'll be many, things that are, hot items that you won't even pay attention to. You'll purposefully not learn them because it consumes a lot of your mental energy that will be wasted, beyond 6 months from now. KK4LZF said that.
Yeah, I can see that. But it seems to be JS8 sticking around now. It's been here about 5 years, and it's gotten a little bit better, but there haven't been drastic changes to it. So I'm kind of seeing some merit in it. I don't like digital modes myself.
Hey, Phil, all the older modes are still around. It's just that nobody's using them anymore. I think El Schreiber is still around. It was a mode from the 1930s.
Yeah, and Olivia's another one's been around.
Olivia's another one, and Reddy.
Yeah, those don't seem to be as popular, but I can see with JS8 all the functionality it's got here to there's a little extra capabilities that make it more attractive.
Yeah, Reddy's is probably the oldest. It's been around since, I don't know, the 1890s.
Oh, 1890s. You kidding me?
No, 1890s. The radio teletype? No, excuse me, not radio teletype, but there was teletype before radio teletype, but the basic protocols and the scheme is, baud is the same.
Yeah, N4IJL. Interesting. Well, I know there used to be a guy that collected a lot of military surplus stuff, and he had a bunch of those old Model 33s or whatever. And he'd have them just a clicking and a clacking in his ham shack, and I tell you, it was fascinating, and he was all about it. And I was always fascinated with it, but never really got involved. Now we did some RIDI, Perry, on 2 meters a while back. It's been 30 years ago, I guess. And Steve Fritz, who used to live down the street from me, he lives in Philadelphia now, or Sweetwater. He was always tinkering with that stuff, and he set up some RTTY stuff, and we sent that back and forth on 2 meters and had a blast with it. And all of a sudden it just died, and we went on to something else. Yeah, we just need to settle in on it. Will keeps outrunning us, every time you say, okay, Will, I'll sort of try that. You say it's pretty decent. Oh, yeah, it's really good. And then you say, well, we were talking about, such and such. And you say, oh, no, I'm now using, and I have to ride coattails, and the coattails are outrunning me. And so that's my problem. I'm really one that I try to follow behind somebody that knows what they're doing, and they keep outrunning me.
Well, I tried the fat WinLink thing. I didn't like it, the WinLink email. The one I found that has the most versatility is the Icom program for digital UHF, VHF, and then this JSA for HF stuff. Those are the only 2 problems with programs and platforms that I see are worth investing in time into.
Yeah, I just want to get me a packet station set up here and have a display and a keyboard and then watch it like a ticker tape, and just watch the messages go by and, and lock onto one, make contact, and then drop back out into the monitoring mode. And we did that back in the 90s, and it may be nostalgia for me, I guess, but it is still fun, and it's simple, and it's keyboard to keyboard, and it's kind of like texting, just pretty much the same, except you don't carry it with you, although you probably could.
Hey, Jerry, I was talking to somebody, he's an old guy, he's a ham radio operator, lives down somewhere, south of here, and he has a whole garage full of ASR 33s. He probably would part with one if you want it.
Oh, man. I can see that in the ham shack. Click, 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 clackety, click, click. Carol would run me off.
Yeah, I actually used one in college. It was connected to a computer, not a telegraph cable, but boy, it was a clunker. By the way, I just looked it up. The teleprinters first came out in 1887, and the next year, 1888. Emil Baudot, standardized the Baudot code that we're still using today.
Wow. Hey, do you remember, Perry, seeing a can of oil sitting in front of one of those? Seemed like that comes back to me, that you had to keep them oiled, and there was a big oil can with a spout like you'd see the railroad guys use to oil the bearing boxes on these cars. It seemed like the Model 33, those teleprinter things you had to oil them or something. Does that ring a bell, or did I dream that?
No, you remember correctly. Yeah, you had a can of oil, and some of them you had a can of like some kind of organic solvent, to clean them. That get like almost like paper dust, and oil and stuff, and it would gunk up and get the little hammers where they wouldn't work right, and you'd have to clean them off and then re-oil them. Yeah, a lot of times you'd have an oil can sitting around somewhere, and other ones you'd have an oil can and a can of carbon tet or something like that. That was part and parcel when you use a teleprinter.
I remember going to an air show down at McGee Tyson, and they had like B-28s or B-29 bombers or whatever, these giant planes. You could go inside and look around. And I went in there, and there was a big can of Quaker State they had that they kept open to put oil in something. and that thing, and I thought, wow, man, I don't know if I'd want to be in the air or something. You had to keep oiling it. And but my buddy Dave Bauer took a ride in one. Seemed like it cost him $200 or $300 for a 30-minute ride. And he said that the thing, they were flying, it was raining, and it was leaking water, too. So, I don't know, some of those old planes, you know, they're probably dependable if you trust them. The people that flew them, you know, knew them, you know, they knew. It'd be like having an old convertible that leaks or whatever, and they didn't think much, you know, they didn't think much of it. It scared me to death.
Didn't they inject the oil that started up on this to make the compression have good compression on those like B29s and stuff? That oil injectors that start up.
Might be.
Yeah, well, they had some of them had external oil pressurized systems. And remember, those were dry sump engines still. They're radials, and they, you know, the old 33s, or 3300s, or 3350s, as they were once known. You know, they had external oil pumps that pumped the oil, and usually you had to turn the oil pumps on before you started the engine.
Yeah, I had for some reason thought that they give that little initial burst in the cylinder. They would inject it just at first to make it, like you said, because it was a dry sump motor anyway. So they give a little shot of oil there, and it helps the compression to start up. And that's why they gave that initial puff of smoke when they fired.
Yeah, I'm not sure they've injected it into the cylinder. I think that's what happened. A lot of the engines ran hot, and they wore out the jugs internally. And the rings would pass oil and fuel and everything, but they would get the thing oiled up before they fired it up. And they had they don't even have a sump. They just have a oil recovery system, kind of like a dry sump car engine. You had a big oil tank, and it feeds the oil pump, and there's oil galleries also the engine, and then there's scavenging pumps that suck the oil back out and send it back to the tank. And the tanks are pretty big. I don't know what they were in the B-29, and even the lubricant tanks in modern jets are they're like 15 gallons for an engine, and sometimes it's for one engine, sometimes it's for more than one engine.
Yeah, my old British motorcycle brother. And the Harleys, antique Harleys I had a whole reservoir separate from the engine, and and the older Harleys, the 70 model, had a filter within the oil tank, so when it pumped the oil back into the tank, in the top, it would drain through the filter back down to the bottom, and you could get that filter out and replace the filter, or it's basically just a strainer cleaner. But back to if you're talking about the airplane plane engines, my friend had a crop dusting service in North Florida, and he eventually converted all of his engines over to gas turbine as opposed to pistons. And what convinced him to do it was the last year he had 3 emergency landings in Beanfield. He said, "That's it. I'm going to get rid of these pistons or the engine."
Yeah. Anyway, so he probably went to turbo shaft type engines. They still have oil pumps still, and still have pressurized oil systems, and recovery tanks, and pretty much the same thing that a sumpless type piston engine has. They still have a lubricating system, but it's a lot simpler. It's basically shafts and gears. That's about it.
Yeah, he said the engine casings, the cylinders, the jugs, and all that stuff was used so much service down there in the crop dusting world that eventually everything had just worn to stress limits.
Yeah, a lot of the engines are air cooled and they run hot, especially when you operate them at low altitude, at low speed in the summertime. Like crop dusters, and they get the engines real hot and the jugs wear out real fast. and some of them have, because of the some of them have low tension rings, even back in the old days, to try to keep the efficiency up. But because they're typically fairly low-speed engines, and they can run low-tension rings, but they pass oil, and you use oil in those planes quite a bit. And then a lot of people forget to top up the oil, and depending on the reservoir size, if you got a small engine with a couple of gallons of oil in it, you can easily let it run out.
Yeah, he got tired of the emergency landing, so he just had all new engines put in. He said it was a good investment, and it was much more time efficient, and less emergencies, and it got rid of a bunch of old, worn-out stuff and got new stuff.
There is a downside. The turbo shaft engines are not as efficient as the gas engines.
Yeah, that's probably true, but I don't think he was tired of those happening and the emergency landing side of it. And he's doing it all. He has the money to buy them and stuff.
Yeah, I know. The other advantage is, you're running kerosene. It's not as flammable. It's a lot safer than running, high-octane gasoline.
He had three hangers down there, and he always worked with the EPA. He said that was another thing. He didn't fight them. He always worked with them on any project, and they were still hanging the butt.
Exactly. They were a pain in the butt to me, too.
So, Jerry, back to JS8. I'm sitting here running it now, and all I've got is a small, tiny little laptop here. I got a little black QDX, makes a box of 5 watts, about the size of the proverbial pack of cigarettes. And I've got a little power pack here. It's about twice the size of a pack of cigarettes. And a resonant wire invis antenna that you could probably stick down in a shirt pocket. So the whole setup right there. Wow. Where do you get the little box? Is that the TNC, so to speak, or what is that? No, it's a transmitter. It's a TDX. It's a company that makes it overseas. I think they're in Europe somewhere there. And it's a little TDX box. And they're hard to get. They're not cheap if you get a fully assembled one. That's all it does. It just transmits digital. It's got a BNC plug at the back, and a power plug, and a plug to put a printer cable in so you could plug it in the computer. You can printer cable plug on one end and the USB on the other. Well, that's interesting. QDX, Quebec Delta X-ray, is that I'm going to Google that and see what I come up with. How much money are we talking about? I bought one that Chuck over there in Petroff had put together. I think he put it together and put together with it's got a Zener diode in it to keep you from just damaging it. So it's got the whole package deal. I gave him like 150, 155 or something for it. Nice little aluminum case and everything. It'll fit in your shirt pocket. There's an ARRL review of QDX in March 2023 issue. I'll have to look that up. QRP Labs sells it. Yes, QRP Labs, QDX. Sure enough, that's it. So QRP Labs on QDX, and it's for doing JSA with LDG, and it will do one other thing, FTA. Wow, well, that's interesting. These QRP Labs guys need to advertise more. I've never even heard of this. I'm going to have to look into this. I don't think they can keep up with what they got now. When you see this some YouTube videos of them, it's really technical stuff, way beyond. It bores me to death to watch any of his videos. He's European, and he's very monotone, and he's very technical on all of this. He shows you what all the circuitry is. I'm like, dude, just give me the details of what it does. Yeah, click, shop order, $69. Yeah, that's very reasonable. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna look at the article in QST, March 2023, I believe. I'm gonna look that up, see what it says. It says here there's a review on it.
Yeah, when I hit the heartbeat button, that's what you do on the JSA, just signal reports. You send the heartbeat. You can have a conversation if you hit the CQ button, but get a heart. If I hit heartbeat, there'll be about 10 stations come back to me from all over the U.S., and that's they're receiving my signals, and I'm putting out 5 watts here.
Wow. Well, now this thing involves a laptop and software. I noticed on the back of this one, it's got the, looks like a printer cable plug-in, DC port, and a BNC connector. So you have a program you load on your laptop. That program runs Windows only, I guess.
No, I got a old cheap evolved Chinese computer here that I'm running Linux on, and JSA goes on here.
Wow. All right. Well, if it run Linux, it might run on a Mac. You know, that's very similar software. I don't know. I'll read up on it. I'm going to go back to this March issue and see. I've got all of the issues of QST back to 1995, I think. I did have some that went even further back than that. All of it on digital. I've got it on a thumb drive. Sure beats a closet full of QST magazines.
Well, check it out. Yes, QRP Labs. And the guy, when you watch his YouTube videos, like I said, he's showing you all these components, and it is very, very well built stuff. He's got his act together, but I just want to know what all. I want to see the dog jump through the hoop.
Yeah, that's the most important part to me. Plug it in and have fun. You know, I like to tinker, but this stuff here is. You know, that's stuff that only, you know, Perry would understand. Sorry, Perry.
Well, somebody else pick it up. I'm going to go in the kitchen and get something, coffee or something.
Yeah, all right. Hey, listen, Perry, if you're listening, I think I'm going to pull the plug and I'm going to review this QST article. And then I'm going to have to hit the hay, I guess. I've been having to get up early to go over there and kind of stand around with that other installation thing going on. So I better get out of here. It's N4IJL.
All right, Jerry. Yeah, I'm probably going to do the same here and wrap up this recording and yeah, go ahead and start winding down. QRP Labs, and then you were looking at what was it called on QRP Labs there, Jerry?
QDX box, Quebec Delta X-ray. Look it up, and I'm going to pull up that. I subscribe to ARRL and download their QST magazines, but I've been doing that anyway. I've been buying those CDs every year. Matter of fact, I've been getting them to give them to me every year, and then I drop them off onto a thumb drive. So I've got probably 30 years, well, since 1995 to 1995 on up to today. And it's really handy having it on a thumb drive. You just go to that, you know, that particular year and that month and look up whatever. But it says March 2023. It's got an article written around that. QRP Lab's got a whole bunch of stuff, and I kind of enjoy perusing that. They don't advertise a whole lot, you know, at large, I guess you might say. And so I need to start watching those guys. They come out with a lot of neat stuff for the QRP guys. Anyway, I was going to ask you something else there, Jason, about something about the 9700. On recording. So you've been recording it and then hit the menu button, and then hit that button that says record, and play it back and see how it sounds. It's just like you're listening to the original QSO. But turn the radio off before you do this. Eject that SD card, plug it into your computer, and upload it as a WAV file, and then you can play it or store it on your computer. I just think that's just a super feature in these radios.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the first time I've done it, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play around with it and yeah, maybe even play it back. I wanted to record a good little bit and see how much data it was consuming, you know. Just do a little test here. So yeah, being able to offload it, I mean, yeah, that is really, really pretty cool feature. But all right, Jerry, I'm not gonna hold it any longer. Phil, Perry, everyone listening, make it a good one, and we'll talk to you later. From the Secret City, KN4OJV.
73, Jason.
73.
Yeah, I'm going to get out of here too, Phil. And I'm going to research this. This looks kind of like the plug-and-play stuff I'd like to mess with. But we'll see. We'll see. N4IJL. 73, Jerry. Yeah, 73, guys. Perry, if you're listening, 73 to you as well, buddy. We'll see you a little later. N4IJL.
Yeah, you all have a good evening. I'm going to hit the hay myself. KK4LZF.
I'm going to be right behind you. KO4JRJ. We enjoyed that about the automotive stuff that area. I've been around the whole 73.